Coming up next, one of rock's great frontmen tells the story of an 80s classic that became the mantra of hard rock and an iconic phrase that actually came from the thesaurus. The song was just a throwaway B-side until it was played. It became the song that brought metal to mainstream radio and to MTV. It also became the crown jewel of the 15 most dangerous songs that were banned by Big Brother in '85. It's the 80s underdog song that became the hard rock expression of the decade, with one of the 80s biggest rock stars, coming up next on Professor of Rock. Hey music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. Make sure that you subscribe below to be a part of this music celebration daily. It's a community that goes in depth on the best of the rock era. Also, if you want more videos, other great benefits, click on our Patreon link below. We'd love to have you. 1982 was a monumental year in heavy metal. Iron Maiden, The Number of the Beast, that went to #1 in the British album charts. Amazing. Led Zeppelin released their final album, Coda. Ronnie James Dio formed Dio after having left Black Sabbath. Tragedy struck as well. Guitarist Randy Rhoads was killed in a plane crash. Ace Frehley left Kiss, and Ian Gillan, formerly of Deep Purple, became the new vocalist of Black Sabbath. A lot going on. British heavy metal legends Judas Priest released their 8th studio album, Screaming for Vengeance, with perhaps their biggest hit ever, most well known, You've Got Another Thing Coming. And that is going to be the focus of our latest episode of Revelations here, where featured artists go deep on their greatest songs and albums. Metal god Rob Halford, the frontman of the aforementioned Judas Priest, gives us the skinny on a song that has become one of rock's greatest mantras. You Got Another Thing Coming, one of the key songs that really took metal from the underground to the masses in the early days of the 80s. And we talk about that in depth here. Actually broke into the pop charts. It went to number 67 on the Billboard Hot 100, which was very rare for a heavy metal act at that time. You Got Another Thing Coming, it also broke into the American suburbs through MTV with its corresponding music video. You have to remember, this was the first time that kids from rural areas saw bands like Judas Priest on TV. I remember the first time I saw MTV, I was visiting extended family in California, about this time actually. I remember just being glued to the visuals. I remember seeing Gary Newman Cars, Asia, Heat of the Moment, Brass and Pocket, The Pretenders, Devo, Whip It, Flock of Seagulls, I Ran, and Judas Priest, You Got Another Thing Coming. Out of all of those videos that I saw at that age, Judas Priest was the one that really stood out because of the delivery of the chorus and his appearance. The sleeveless leather jacket, the leather bracelets with spikes, the chains, I was blown away. People did not dress like that in Blackfoot, Idaho, or really anywhere I'd been. Rob Halford was a fierce, deliberate, ruthless dude, man. Judas Priest was metal gold. It was certainly a watershed musical moment in my life. I mean, this band was so cool, they were used as a swear word. You know what I mean? Judas Priest. There's been talk both ways about how MTV was good and bad for artists. For me, MTV from about 82, when I first saw it, to the early 90s, it was definitely a portal into an alternate reality that I think we all wanted to be transported to. It really was such a force. Well, without further ado, I present to you the story of You Got Another Thing Coming from Rob Halford of Judas Priest. Here it is. Well, in 1982, Screaming for Vengeance, 2 million copies sold, huge album. You Got Another Thing Coming. Talk about another instant classic there. Track feels like much more than an act of just defiance. It feels like it was triggered by a real life occurrence or maybe a personal vendetta. Tell me about that. I want to ask you about the origin of that.
I love phrases. I love phraseology. My thesaurus is always with me, and any of these books that contain phrases like hell-bent for leather, or in this case, you've got another thing coming. Because originally I think it was you've got another think, like THINK. And so that was kind of slightly massaged into you've got another thing coming. And I think it's true that most songs that gain traction have a strong message. Even if it's a simple love song, she loves you, yeah, yeah, yeah. To you don't know what it's like. To if you think I'll sit around as the world goes by, you're thinking like a fool because it's a case of do or die. You know, you've got nothing coming. It's a song that speaks for itself to a certain extent, but it also embodies this attitude in metal and in Priest about being resilient, about being full of self determination and motivation. And again, it's a little bit of a dig to those looking from the outside in. You know, if you think, you know, you've got another thing coming, it's to all of those, because we're the outcasts, right? So it's to those of you that are looking at me and thinking you're going to get away with this or get away with that. Well, you've got nothing coming, man. You know, in this, it's just a song full of hope more than anything else.
And boy, did it ever become a phrase. I mean, you talk about the outcast, that was our thing. You got another thing coming, buddy. It become part of the lexicon.
That song was just one of the last songs that we wrote in those sessions. And as a band, we thought it was a cool song, but we didn't really feel it had the same strength as like the opening track on Screaming for Vengeance. So we almost buried it on the B-side of the vinyl in those days. It was like, you know, one of these songs that take you through towards the back end of a record. And then our label in New York, CBS Columbia, said, suddenly started to get the airplay. They knew, the people in the office knew, this is a song that's going to do something for you guys. So we were ecstatic to get that amazing traction in rock and roll radio, which we've always loved as a band in Priest, particularly here in America. It still is vital to any band, regardless of the platforms that we're using now. Rock and roll, right? You can't beat it, man. When I'm in my car driving around Phoenix and I hear Living After Midnight, come on, my foot goes down on the accelerator. Another speeding ticket. So that song really, much like Living After Midnight or Breaking the Law, is a very important singular moment in this band's career.
Well, I want to ask you about the provenance of this verse in particular. If you think I'll sit around while you chip away my brain, listen, I ain't fooling, and you better think again. Yeah. Out there is a fortune waiting to be had. If you think I'll let it go, you're mad. You got another thing coming. I always loved that.
I don't know where these words come from. It's my job as the lyricist for Priest to try and come up with language that represents the band and the way we feel as a band, because this isn't just Rob spouting his mouth off. We vet everything. We're there for each other. We encourage each other. Scott, that was great on the cymbal, but could you hit that cymbal instead of that one? Because that's going to sound better. You know, simple things like that mean so much. And once I get on a roll for a song like that, I probably wrote numerous verses, and we have to hack it down. We have to do the Tom Allen and kind of, you know, be brutal. And that's tough. That's tough for a lyricist. It's like saying to Glenn, you've only got 8 bars of lead here. But yeah, but I want 16. No, it's only 8, mate, because 8 is enough. It's like 4 verses are enough. You know, you have to be really brutal to yourself to get the best results. But that's a great little moment there where you throw out those words, because you know. Our brains are certainly being chipped right now, Adam.
Well, and when you think about this song as you're recording it, and at this time MTV is coming out.
Ladies and gentlemen, rock and roll.
The landscape is changing, new wave music.
Now, starting right now, you'll never look at music the same way again.
You're pushing for heavy metal for more prominence, because it took heavy metal, I think, the longest to go to the masses, because everybody's fighting. We talked about the satanic panic of the 80s, and you've got Tipper Gore, the Filthy 15, all that kind of stuff going on. And you're out there like soldiering on, man, helping people like us feel like there's some answers out there, that there are some alternatives.
I saw a commercial on TV the other night that was talking about some things that are worth fighting for. We had a song on one of our Priest albums with the title "Worth Fighting For," and so that's how it was for Priest. Even now, you know, if something's worth fighting for, you fight for it. You don't roll over. You don't be submissive. I mean, even if the outcome isn't necessarily what you are hoping for. That's immaterial. It's the fight that matters. It's the struggle that matters, and that's been the case for a lot of the moments in Priest. Filthy 15 with the PMRC, which is a political hack job.
This attack was contained in an article written by Tipper Gore, which was given the form of a full page in my hometown newspaper on Long Island. In this article, Ms. Gore claimed that one of my songs, Under the Blade, had lyrics encouraging sadomasochism, bondage, and rape. The lyrics she quoted have absolutely nothing to do with these topics. On the contrary, the words in question are about surgery and the fear that it instills in people. As the creator of Under the Blade, I can say categorically that the only sadomasochism, bondage, and rape in this song is in the mind of Ms. Gore.
Although I understood the premise of that, which is to put kind of little guidelines, like when you see a movie, you know, you don't want to take your kid to an R-rated movie, and maybe you don't want your young kid to listen to expletives on a record. I understand that, but it was just the way they did that, you know. So there was that, but yeah, this whole moment with MTV was remarkable. It couldn't have happened at a better time for a band like Priest, because we were slowly arcing, you know. We were getting to places, particularly here in America. We had radio working for us, and that's not totally wrong expression. We had this great relationship with radio happening, and now we have this new kid on the block, MTV. I went to one of the very first MTV broadcasts in Manhattan, and you couldn't get MTV in Manhattan. I think you could only get it in Brooklyn and a couple of other places. But we knew exponentially that this was going to revolutionize everything, and it did. And how cool that was as it kind of married itself with another thing coming, because then MTV started to play, Breaking the Law and Breaking the Law, Breaking the Law, Breaking the Law, Breaking the Law, and stuff from a few years earlier.
And it showed who you were visually as a band as well. We talked about the leather and the image.
Yes. And so all of that was a massive boost, a massive push for heavy metal music. And Headbangers Ball, I used to watch that religiously.
Judas Priest, your heavy metal host for tonight's edition of the Headbangers Ball.
We were on that show numerous times. So you can't say thank you enough to the way MTV took you across the landscape of America, because in a very, very short space of time, it wasn't just in Brooklyn, it was everywhere. It was all across the country with the invention of cable. And so when you were back home in Walsall, somebody was headbanging to breaking the law over in Kansas. What a beautiful thing, man. You know, can't see your band in live, but here's a great video. And for young people, especially young metalheads, that was just a great moment.
In Idaho too, man, we were headbanging, man. It was, it was great. It took us a while to get cable TV, but it was such a game changer. And also, you got another thing coming, huge in Guitar Hero. That introduced it to a whole new generation. My kids, that's how they found a lot of this music.
We had the pleasure as a band to be on that game. I wish I could play those games. I'm useless at trying to do. I watch some of these gamers on Reddit late at night, and I'm like, how do they do that? You know, and they're riding a unicycle or juggling, so doing these games. It's an absolute skill. It's an absolute brain to physical skill.
Steve Vai was telling me that his son is playing For the Love of God, and he beat him. He's like, this is my song, and I can't even play it.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And I tell you what's beautiful about that is again the way that some areas of technology are great in a building a family experience. Steve Vai and his son, you know, how cool is that? You know, back in the day, we'd like, no, you're not playing on my game, you know, or no, you're not listening to my music. That's mine. That's me. That belongs to me. And so there's been some really very, very important, powerful moments in society where technology has brought people from different generations together.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Leave us a comment about Rob Halford and Judas Priest, this song, this video. What are your memories of it? Make sure to pick up a copy of Rob Halford's book. It's been out for like a year and a half, but it's amazing. It's a great book. It's a great read. In fact, I think he's got another book out right now too. I got to check that out. I haven't had time to read really. If you like this content, make sure to subscribe below so you always know when our new stuff's coming out, and help us keep the music alive. That's the idea here. Until next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends.